Hi, I'm David. Intake air temperature, or IAT sensors, are essential to help the modern motor vehicle comply to strict emission regulations. They can have different types of faults, resulting in various diagnostic trouble codes. In this module, we'll have a look at P0111 and P0114. The IAT sensor is a passive sensor in which resistance changes with temperature. The electrical resistance decreases as the temperature increases, and vice versa. The varying resistance affects the voltage drop across the sensor terminals and provides electrical signals to the engine control module, or ECM, corresponding to the air temperature. The ECM uses the air temperature information as a correction factor for fuel, spark, and mass airflow. The normal voltage drop range for the IAT sensor on this vehicle is 0.2 to 4.6 volts. If the voltage stays within this range, but fluctuates more than it should, then a P0111 or a P0114 sensor voltage fluctuating or intermittent will set. From the table of faults, we can see the causes of these DTCs. When dealing with temperature sensors, there's a tip you can use if you've got a scan tool and the vehicle's been standing overnight or for an extended period of time. With the ignition on and the scan tool plugged in, I'll compare the readings of the coolant temperature sensor and the intake air temperature sensor. They should be within a couple of degrees of each other. This will help decide if one of the sensors is not reading accurately. The intake air temperature is at 22 degrees Celsius or 72 degrees Fahrenheit, and the coolant temperature sensor is reading the same. This indicates that the sensors are reading correctly. Referring to the schematic, it can be seen that the IAT sensor is part of the mass airflow sensor. The IAT sensor has a ground connection shared with a mass airflow sensor on one side and is connected to the ECM on the other. There will be a pull-up resistor inside the ECM which will be connected to a 5-volt reference. Some systems can have a dedicated low reference connection back to the ECM, and others can have a low reference supplied by a vehicle ground, as seen here. If this data is not available, try performing a drive cycle with the scan tool connected. As these are performance DTCs and the temperature readings are currently correct, it'll be necessary to perform a wiggle test. While watching the scan tool parameters, move the harness and connectors to try and duplicate any fault. If a fault shows up, try to isolate the problem to a particular part of the harness. Check the terminal tension and signs of corrosion in any connectors in the signal or ground wires. While observing the scan tool parameters, disconnect the sensor and see if the IAT reading goes to -40 degrees. Next, using a fuse jumper, join the two sensor connector terminals together. The scan tool reading should go to around 135 degrees Celsius or 275 degrees Fahrenheit. If either of these tests fail, then the most likely problem will be the ECM. That's the diagnosis of an intake air temperature sensor, intermittent or poor performance fault. As you can see, it's not difficult to diagnose, providing you follow a systematic approach. Always follow one part of the circuit at a time. Diagnose, don't guess. And remember, training is the key to your success. Bye for now.